Hey everyone, what's up? It's Sarah and welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to be chatting with y'all today. Big news. Well, I guess it's actually confirmation of what I talked about I didn't actually talk about it in my last video, but I put a little screen blurb in at the end of my last video about Mike and Natalie, that a Reddit poster had posted a photo of her and Uncle Beau, alleging that Beau told her that Natalie and Mike had separated and that she was living in Seattle. And I didn't really want to run with that as tea because it was unconfirmed. There was really no way to know what was said during the conversation because she just posted a photo. But Beau has done an interview with In Touch. I'm assuming they reached out to him after that photo was posted. And he spills all the tea. So I don't know if he has an NDA. He clearly doesn't give a shit if he does. And we are all the more thirsty for that tea. And thank you, Uncle Beau, for talking to In Touch. So let's talk about this interview. Okay, so where we are in the show is that Mike has called off the wedding. Natalie is hysterical. But what has been bothering viewers for several weeks now is that we have seen their application for their marriage license. We've seen the actual marriage certificate. So they legally got married on April 15th of 2020. So what we know happened in real life and what we are seeing or what we're watching on the show just didn't jive. But I have so many questions and I have so much speculation as to, I think, what's going on. But, they were married for less than a year, according to Uncle Beau. So one of the things that Uncle Beau told In Touch is that Natalie has not been home for a couple months and she can stay away for all he cares. So we saw especially this most recent episode, Natalie saying goodbye to Uncle Beau, and it seemed like a tender, affectionate moment that there was, that she had affection for Uncle Beau, but Uncle Beau is clearly sick of her or the two of them fighting. I don't know, but he's over it. And he said he hopes the marriage is over for good. So this leads me to believe that they weren't actually faking the tension in their relationship that much for the camera. It's so hard to know, obviously what was going through their heads. I think that the dysfunction in their relationship was very real. I don't know why Mike let this whole thing play out. I mean, there's so many applications and fees and filings that they had to do to get to this point, to apply for the K-1, to do that interview, to provide proof of their relationship, and all this time, we even saw in their original season, him hemming and hawing. They could not agree on basic things like religion, like things that would, not that that's a basic thing, but that would be a foundation that you should either agree or to disagree, or agree how you're going to raise kids. And then the subject of kids, Natalie really wanted to start a family like yesterday. And that really had never come up this season because there was so much other shit that they were dealing with and dysfunction. So I think for the past 2 seasons that we've seen them, a lot of people have been baffled as to why these two have stayed together. And it seems like, I don't know what really hit the breaking point, but Natalie is living on her own, which also speaks to a lot of people have been speculating. We know that the kitchen that she's shooting her I almost said music videos, her cooking videos in, is obviously not Mike's kitchen. So where was she shooting these? So maybe this is where she's living now. Who knows? But that it makes a whole lot more sense now that she's obviously not living at home with Mike. In the preview for next week's episode, we see that she has to return to the farm, which they were driving. The trip to Seattle and back is 3 hours. Round trip is about 6 hours. So for some reason, which this doesn't make a whole lot of sense to anybody who has ever traveled or rented a hotel room before, she has to go back for Mike's money. And in my mind, it was like, I mean, most hotels accept international cards. So if she had a Ukrainian credit card or a Ukrainian bank account, but I don't know if she had any money. I'm not sure. And I'm not sure that the hotel very well may have not accepted it. Who knows? But Tamra had to have had forms of payment on her. And could she not have been like, here's my card, and Mike, if there's any charges, pay me back? No, we have to go all the way back, a 3-hour drive, to rectify this situation, which obviously means that they talk things out, because we know she stays and they get married, but now we know that they're in fact separated. One of the things that I am surprised about is I'm surprised that Natalie actually stayed in the United States. And I don't know if there's some conditions there. We're going to talk in just a second about what this means for her immigration status. But, you know, her mother, her friends are all in Ukraine. I never got the feeling that going to America was necessarily her goal. I always got the feeling that having children and being married was her goal, whether that was in Ukraine or in the United States. And I think she fell in love with Mike and really wanted things to go a certain way. And clearly they didn't. So let's talk about what this means, because we've seen couples break up on this show. And we've seen, Muhammad is still in the United States. Fernanda is still in the United States. We know Luis, I think he was deported, but he married a woman from DR, I believe. And so what are her options? What does this mean? Will she be deported? So let's take a look at some information here. If you divorce your sponsoring fiance before filing the adjustment of status, then you will likely lose residency. You may not be able to file for a green card. You and your K2 children, well, there's no children, may lose immigration rights and leave the U.S. If you overstay, you will be placed under removal proceedings. Oh, Larissa, she's still here too. And will have to answer to an immigration judge. There's a chance that you can plead your circumstances to a judge and possibly get authorization to stay. You are highly advised to seek a professional's help for this matter. If you file for divorce after filing for the adjustment of status, if a divorce happens after you filed the adjustment of status, then the situation depends on when you are divorced. If you successfully submitted the paperwork, had the interview, and are approved, then you will have a valid conditional 2-year green card. So more couples come to mind. I know Jay is still in this country. He just opened his own business, his own tattoo shop. So we don't see people lose their residency very often on this show. Let's see some other information. If you divorce during the conditional permanent resident status, you receive a conditional permanent residence status if the marriage was less than 2 years old by the time you receive the green card. This status is valid for up to 2 years, and it's done to make sure there's no visa fraud, sham marriage for immigration benefits. In order to remove or lift the conditions of a conditional permanent resident to get the full 10-year green card, you and your U.S. spouse must file the I-751 jointly. If you don't file it, then you become out of status. So that's the key. You have to still be on pretty good terms with your ex if you plan to obtain a permanent resident card. And again, divorce doesn't mean an automatic denial or deportation. While it may seem like a divorce will trigger an automatic out of status for you, it is not the case. Most divorce conditional residents will be granted residence if they submit their application with a waiver. I'm not sure if Larissa or Jay or Luis or Muhammad, if any of them filed waivers to be able to stay. Additionally, in order for these people to stay, Colt would have had to file something jointly with Larissa. as would have Ashley, Danielle, and Danielle was actively trying to get Muhammad deported at one point, so I don't know when she agreed to do that. So it says, in other words, if you came to the U.S. with a K-1 visa and had a divorce during the conditional resident period, it doesn't mean an automatic deportation for you. It says here, in fact, there's a decent chance you will be granted the green card if you apply for the waiver. So I think, like, if you have a job, the ex-spouse is still financially responsible for them for 10 years just from applying for the visa. Obviously, Natalie will need to consult an immigration attorney to get everything sorted out. This just begs the question, why did they go through this to begin with? Mike seemed to be torturing her with if he was going to give her the ring back or not. She was insufferable as well. I think a lot of people I've noticed, especially on a couple of the posts I've made that have been critical of Mike, have been like, well, what about Natalie? But for me, Natalie's behavior has been awful and horrible, and she can be criticized. But what he did to her was absolutely emotionally torture her. And to call off the wedding the day of, when he could have done it months ago, when he clearly has known this whole time that, like, he didn't want to be married to her. I don't even know how it took 10 more months for her to finally move out. Maybe that's just the spark that she needed. I have no idea. But it seemed like this was the ultimate revenge for him. It seemed like he took her giving the ring back to him so personally that he got some sort of, like, satisfaction out of this. It just was horrific to watch Natalie go through it. I mean, she called him low class, overweight, drunk, low IQ. She was so critical of him, nagging him all the time. Yes, completely awful. Nobody thought that behavior was cute, even though she apparently thought it was cute. But at the same time, I don't think anybody deserves to be broken up with or ditched the way she was. And furthermore, it wasn't even like a production crew was there to film her having to cancel all the wedding organization, because he, of course, left that up to her to cancel the officiant and all of that. But she had to film it herself. And that was just so heartbreaking. I don't think I could film myself like that. I don't know. But anyways, you guys, let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm very interested to see this next episode, because I have to believe that she stays, because we know they get married. But to have Beau confirm that they aren't together anymore, I'm sure Matt Sharp is pissed as shit right now. But let me know what you think. Make sure you like this channel, or like this video, subscribe to this channel. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Reality Squad, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, you guys. Much love. Bye-bye.